Hello, and welcome to the 10th video on scientific writing. In the previous video, we finished our discussion on structure. In this video, we will talk about how to make your writing flow. In today's distracting world, readers will use any excuse to stop reading your paper and check their notifications. Choppy and awkward writing might be just the excuse they're looking for. What you want instead is for your readers to be drawn into what they're reading. To do that, you need your writing to flow. There are two key aspects to flow. The first is coherence, and the second is clean transitions. You want to make sure that all the sentences in your paragraph are part of a coherent theme. In other words, that they are on the same team. You also want your sentences to flow cleanly from start to finish, like a baton in a relay race. So let's look at a couple of examples of what this might mean. Example A says, atoms can be approximated as having two energy levels. Atoms can thus be used to encode qubits. Atoms couple to the environment, sometimes causing the qubits to decohere. Now example B says, atoms can be approximated as having two energy levels. These energy levels can thus encode qubits. Sometimes, however, these qubits decohere due to atomic coupling to the environment. Both of these paragraphs say the same thing, but I hope you agree that the first one sounds choppy and reads like a list of facts, whereas the second one is smoother and makes a coherent story. So let's break down what the difference is. In the first example, the topic of each sentence is atoms. The sentences form a list of facts about atoms without providing any structure to those facts. When the topics are linked together, it sounds like a list. In the second example, the topic of each sentence ties to the stress of the previous one. This links the past to the future, which makes your sentence read like a story. But you might be wondering, what if I actually want a list? Well, that's okay. You just need to use an LD structure for the paragraph. The lead gives an overview to define the theme for a list to follow. Then several sentences can link back to the theme developed by the lead. In this case, example A from a couple of slides ago will be modified as follows. Atoms have many interesting properties. Atoms can be approximated as having two energy levels. They can be used to encode qubits. Atoms also couple to the environment, sometimes causing the qubits to decohere. Okay, now it's your turn to do an exercise. In this exercise, I would like you to find a paragraph in your paper or essay that needs fixing. Check whether the topic of each sentence connects to the stress of the previous one. And if not, rewrite the sentences so that they do. And if you actually do want a list, use the LD structure to give an overview of the paragraph. Now is a good time to pause the video as you work on the exercise and try not to spend more than 10 minutes on it. Okay, so I hope you've had a chance to work on the exercise. Perhaps as you were working on it, you noticed some tension. Perhaps you had already taken the advice from part 9 of this course that the topic of a sentence should be familiar, while the stress should contain your key message. But now as you tried to link the topic of one sentence to the stress of the previous sentence, that just messed everything up. Unfortunately, this will be a recurring theme. Sometimes you will succeed in making both things work. Other times you will have to prioritize what is most important, given the audience and where you are in the paper. You will have to use your own judgment to make these decisions. But don't worry, as you write more and get feedback about your work, your judgment will improve. Now remember from part 8 of this course that each paragraph needs to make a single clear point. And so a paragraph break indicates that you are shifting ideas and moving onto a new story arc. But readers expect the new paragraph to build off the previous one. So when you move between paragraphs, you need to use the same stress topic linking ideas as you do with sentences. Let's look at an example of this. We notice that the decay rates tend to cluster around certain regions of the complex plane. The complex component captures the oscillatory behavior of the system, suggesting that interference effects may be at play. Superradiance is known to occur in a linear chain of qubits when ... Now the end of the first paragraph is about interference effects, and the start of the second paragraph is about superradiance. As a result, these paragraphs don't feel connected. So let's look at a couple of ways that we can fix this. The first way is to change the start of the second paragraph to get the idea from the first paragraph. In this case, the idea is interference. This provides context for driving the story forward. So we would have, the complex component captures the oscillatory behavior of the system, suggesting that interference effects may be at play. One example of such an interference effect is superradiance, which occurs when constructive interference enhances spontaneous emission. Superradiance is known to occur in a linear chain of qubits when ... Hopefully you agree that with these changes, the first paragraph flows into the second. Another approach is to change the end of the first paragraph to introduce superradiance. We would then have, the complex component captures the oscillatory behavior of the system, suggesting that interference effects such as superradiance may be at play. Superradiance is known to occur in a linear chain of qubits when ... Hopefully you also agree that the flow is better in this case as well. Okay, so now it's your turn to do another exercise. In this exercise, I would like you to find 2 consecutive paragraphs in your paper or essay that could be better connected. Check whether the second paragraph builds off the first. If not, either rewrite the end of the first paragraph or the beginning of the second paragraph. And if it's not obvious to you at this stage which option is better, don't stress, just pick one and see what happens. Now is a good time to pause the video as you work on the exercise, and try not to spend more than 10 minutes on it. Okay, so I hope you've had a chance to work on the exercise. Now I would like to just summarize what we've learned in this video. As I'm sure you've experienced yourself, readers are easily distracted. So don't give them an excuse to stop reading. Avoid choppy writing. Connecting the stress of one sentence to the topic of the next makes it feel like a story, while connecting the topics of sentences makes it feel like a list. And paragraphs should build off each other, so use the same stress topic linking ideas as you do with sentences. In the next video, we will discuss the power of words. See you next time!